What's going on, pen fans? Today we're going to take a look at my very favorite pen. This is the Sailor 1911 Professional Gear or Pro Gear. This is going to be the full-size version in this review. They also make this pen in the Pro Gear Slim, which is a little bit narrower and a little bit shorter. Still a great size pen. Comes with a 14K nib in that pen. And then they also make the Pro Gear King of Pen, which is a very large pen, very substantial. Has a 21 karat nib similar to this pen. Obviously the nib's going to be a little bit bigger because the pen is a little bit bigger. And then not quite as readily available, but available, via eBay and some Japanese sellers, is a short version of the Pro Gear, which is similar in size to this, but a lot shorter, and the cap screws to post on the back of that pen. So we're not going to talk about that one. This video will be focused on the full-size Pro Gear, which is my favorite pen, and we'll get into why here in just a few minutes. There's a few different reasons, but the first reason right off the bat is there are so many options available for this pen. You can see here in front of you, we've got 6 versions of this pen. If you're a little bit more of a classic pen person, or you're a little more understated, or you want to kind of fly under the radar for meetings or in your workplace or at school, this pen is available in the standard black with gold or rhodium trim. It also is available in black with ruthenium trim, which is the sort of black chrome finish. And then there are a variety of colors, demonstrator versions, there are Japanese exclusives, there are boutique exclusives, American exclusives. I mean, the possibilities are endless. The completionist in me is dying that I can't just have them all. But my bank account wouldn't support it, and I wouldn't know where to begin anyway, because there are so many of them. A lot of them are done in extremely small numbers, 25, 50, 100 pens. Some of them are very old, so a lot out there to choose from. But probably the best part about this pen is that there is going to be one out there for you, regardless of your preference towards color or nib size or furniture. So just a really great pen in that regard. There's something for everyone. So I'm going to move all of these out of the way except for one, and we'll talk about them. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to circle back around, and I'm going to tell you what's kind of unique about each one of these pens, where they come from, and what their kind of story is. So I'll move these guys out of the way. Most of mine are special editions. This demonstrator version is probably the best one to show you because it is the most readily available, and it's also a demonstrator, so we can see all the parts without having to take the pen completely apart, even though we'll probably do that. So looking at this pen, you'll see it's a fairly standard cigar-shaped pen with one glaring difference, and that's that the ends here have been truncated or flattened out. I really like that. It's got sort of a blocky look, almost like maybe a monolithic look to it. It's just really, really cool. It's got a kind of a fun, chunky shape about it. I think it's a lot more unique than just your standard cigar-shaped pen, especially if you get one of these in black and gold or black and rhodium. It tends to stand out a little more than your standard cigar shape, which could tend to be confused for any number of pens out there from a wide variety of makers, such as Pilot, Platinum, Mont Blanc. So really kind of a cool way to a cool departure from your standard cigar shaped pen. So not a small pen. These are short, but they're quite comfortable. They're pretty girthy, a little bit thick at the grip section. I find them to be incredibly comfortable for my writing and for my hand size. They post very nicely, very securely, and create a nice full-size writing experience. The Pro Gear Slim is going to be a little narrower and then also a little bit shorter, but still posts to be a really great size. Looking at this pen, just the details of the pen from front to back or top to bottom. Here at the top of the cap, you've got the Sailor logo, and you can see mine's a little bit crooked. That's pretty common with these, and one of the biggest quibbles that I have is just that little bit of QC. I would like to see that done a little bit better, maybe by Sailor, especially given the price point on these pens. Nice clip here that's rather springy and very sturdy. And also, if you notice, the clip sits pretty far up on the pen, so you don't have a lot of this sticking out of your shirt pocket. And because this pen is a little bit shorter, it does ride in a shirt pocket quite nicely. If you've got it clipped to your pants pocket, you're not going to have a bunch of the pen sticking up out of there. This pen has a single cap band that sort of lips down over the body a little bit. I'm going to bring one other one in here real quick just to show you the other option is this double cap band with an acrylic or the plastic down here below it. I actually prefer the full, just the single cap band. I just think it looks really nice. It's kind of a cool way to divide up the pen. I know it's a little bit hard to see in this one, so I'm going to bring in this blue guy so you can see here what that looks like. And I just think it's got a little bit more of a substantial look overall, and I think it looks really, really nice to kind of break up that midsection of the pen. Cap band says Sailor, Japan, founded 1911. These pens do screw to cap, push to post, and then you unscrew from the section here, and you are greeted with a standard cartridge converter. These are proprietary. Sailor has their own cartridges and converters, so no standard international there. This converter you see has a white knob on it, and I'll show you on some of my other pens. I've got some other color converters. Sailor does sell these in different colors. Taking a look at this nib, absolutely beautiful. This is, I think Sailor has the best nibs on the market. I know that's a pretty bold claim, but 21 karat gold on this guy. I've got some beautiful scroll work, that 1911 with the anchor there, and you'll notice the side of it, HM, that's a hard medium. Their nibs are quite firm. There's not a whole lot of flex, not a lot of give. You can squeeze a tiny bit of line variation out of them, but you're really going to be pushing it. So I wouldn't recommend it. But for me, they're excellent daily writers. Very consistent, almost boringly consistent, but perfect for jotting notes, writing on a variety of papers and surfaces. Because those hard nibs don't have a lot of give, they're kind of nice for folks with a little bit more of a heavy hand, which I tend to have. Traditionally, I prefer steel nibs because I tend to have a little bit more of a heavy hand, and gold nibs tend to give a little too much for me, especially vintage ones. These don't give hardly at all. So a really great nib for everyday use. And then inside the cap, you'll see there's an inner cap here, which kind of seals everything off and just keeps that nib from drying out. I've let these sit for weeks at a time, opened them up, and they write right away. There's no issues there. So just a really great pen. I think this Sailor Pro Gear is a great departure, like I said, from the standard cigar shape. I think it's a great entry in the gold pen world. If you're looking to take your next step, getting something a little bit nicer, but you don't want to go, into the $300, $400, $500 range, you can go for one of the standard Pro Gears. There's a lot of them for sale out there. A lot of vendors here stateside and overseas in Europe and Japan. If you are stateside and you purchase from eBay, you can find some good deals there through the gray market. If you're nervous about buying gray market, there is usually a longer wait time, because it has to come from overseas. There are a lot of U.S. vendors, so I'll try to put a link down below to some trusted vendors that I use, and see if we can't get you set up here stateside. So just a great pen, one that I highly recommend. I carry a Pro Gear with me almost every day in my kit. Regardless of what else I'm carrying, the Pro Gear is almost always with me. It's absolutely my favorite pen. I love the variety. I love the in-hand feel. The full size is just really, really comfortable. Not too big, not too small. It can be used posted or unposted for most people pretty comfortably. It's just a great sort of a Goldilocks pen, not too hot, not too cold. So real quick, want to take a look at some of these other versions that I've got here. This is the demonstrator version with rhodium trim. Those are pretty readily available. This next one we're going to take a look at, this is the Pro Gear Sky. This is probably my favorite pen that I own. I'm a sucker for demonstrator, and I'm especially a sucker for blue, so you give me a blue demonstrator and I'm a pretty happy camper. Rhodium trim again on this one, which I think is absolutely gorgeous. Sailor Japan Sky written on the cap band there. Just a stunning pen overall, and they managed to get the anchor pretty well straight. It's a little off, but not too bad. Uncapping this pen, again, rhodium hardware, 21 karat nib. And then if you unscrew it here, you'll see one of these colored converters I was talking about. This one's blue. I think that's kind of fun. And it doesn't, it's not quite as dark as the black, so it kind of disappears a little bit inside there, and you can kind of see that blue peeking through, which I think is really, really fun. So this is probably my favorite pen that I own. Just it kind of ticks a lot of the boxes for me. It's a Sailor Pro Gear, which is my favorite pen. It's in my favorite color, which is blue, and it's a demonstrator, which I'm always a little bit of a sucker for. Next one we're going to look at. This is the US edition of, this was a US only or US exclusive. They call this the Lighthouse. So it's in this like beautiful graphite gray color, and it's got these really cool demonstrator finials. Again, we're going back to a demonstrator. I'm a sucker for anything clear like that. I love to be able to see the inner workings of stuff. And while you can't necessarily see the inner workings of this pen, the finials are just kind of a nice touch. 21 karat nib on that guy as well. I didn't love this pen when I first saw it. I thought it was a little boring. I was a little disappointed because, you know, a lot of the Japanese retailers get really funky colors and fun pens, and I was just a little bit kind of let down by this pen. I was excited that we were getting a US exclusive, and then this was it. But the more I looked at it, the more I loved it. I mean, there's something about this sort of graphite or kind of deep clay gray color that I think is just really beautiful and really understated and elegant. And I think that the clear finials are just a fun, kind of a fun play on dressing up the pen without being too ostentatious. So that's the Lighthouse version, which was a US exclusive. This is a pen from Wancher in Japan. This is their violet one. Probably my second favorite color is purple. I'm a sucker for anything purple. The only way these could have been better is if you had somehow figured out a way to do a blue and purple. This pen features gold colored hardware, which I wasn't sure about at first, and then once I got the pen in hand, the violet color they used on this pen is really beautiful, and it's very warm. Actually, it's not a blue violet. It's a very warm purple, almost a fuchsia kind of color that I think is stunning in person. Hopefully, it's showing up great in the video here, and I think this gold hardware just gives it a really elegant kind of, I don't know, it's almost like a royalty feel. It's got kind of a royal feel to it, which I think is just amazing. Got the gold logo there at the top, and then this pen has a solid gold nib to match the hardware, and then unscrewing it, you'll see we've got a purple converter, which I picked up. And I'll put a link to a trusted eBay seller that I've been using for these. I'll put a link in that in the description down below, because picking these up for your pens is really fun, especially if you've got demonstrators, because you can see that fun color inside of there. Knocking these all around. The next one I want to look at, this is the Tequila Sunrise. So Sailor has a cocktail series where they do these pens that sort of look like cocktails. I actually had to look the recipe for this one up. I've never had a Tequila Sunrise. Maybe I'll try one sometime. But so that's made with orange juice, which is this here, and then tequila, which is this, and then you add a little grenadine to it, which settles at the bottom, and that's where this little red translucent finial comes in. And I think it's just a cool attention to detail. And then what's really fun is the Tequila Sunrise drink is garnished with a maraschino cherry, and so you get that little dot of red there at the top, which is their sort of nod to the maraschino cherry. And I think that's just a fun play on the cocktail and a really fun attention to detail, just something really special that only Sailor kind of can do. And I think that's really, really awesome. They used a softer gold hardware on this pen, not quite as rich as the gold on the violet down there, but it blends in really nicely and works with the overall warm tones of this pen. You'll see this material. This has a two-tone nib, which is absolutely stunning. And then the material in this pen is just slightly translucent. You can kind of see through it there. I think that's really nice. And then I've got a red converter in this one, which I thought was kind of a fun way to play on that Tequila Sunrise cocktail. And the last pen I want to look at, which was the most recent one I picked up, and probably my most limited edition. This is the Bung Box exclusive Fuji pen. This pen is absolutely stunning. It's gorgeous. It's one I've been after for a while, and I finally landed one. It's in a really beautiful, deep teal, kind of an ocean blue translucent material with turquoise finials. What's really nice is they put this lighter turquoise band here in between the cap bands. And then Bung Box has their custom engraved Bung Box Ink Tells More, which is their little kind of trademark or their tagline. Looking at the top finial on this pen, you'll see it's quite different from all the rest. You've got Mount Fuji there in abalone shell or mother of pearl, and then you'll see also there's some sparkles in that turquoise material, that teal material, which is just stunning. Rhodium trim on this pen as well, with a 21 karat rhodium nib, which has Ink Tells More engraved on it. That again, Bungbox's little tagline there, and they do these really cool, smooth, polished nibs that are almost sterile. And then this pen has a metal grip section, which I think is really nice. It's cool to the touch. It's a neat tactile experience that you don't get with the other plastic pens. And I think it just looks really, really stunning. Adds a little weight to the pen as well, which is kind of nice. It balances a little more forward, which is great. So that's my small Sailor collection and a quick look at the Sailor Pro Gear, just sort of in general. Again, my favorite pen. Comes in crazy colors and lots of limited editions and special editions. Be on the lookout for them. I'll drop some links down below to where you can get a Sailor of your very own. Also check out some eBay folks. Just make sure that where you're buying from is reputable, and I'll try to link to some of those down below. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you so much. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. There's going to be more coming up in the next few weeks. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop them down below. I'll be glad to address them as I'm able. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.